over time, because people wanted to give themselves fully to Christ, they made a vow of chastity or celibacy, and never married, considered themselves married to Christ, as a way of imposing upon themselves a particular suffering or deprivation, again, for this kind of spirit or purpose. All these things are fine and dandy. I think they have a place, but it misses the point of the Via Crucis. It misses the point, basically, of the things that the Via Crucis, or the way of the cross, is built on, which are the two commandments of Jesus. Anyone that follows me must deny themselves and take up the cross daily and follow me. And those things kind of missed the spirit of that, or had the spirit of it, but they weren't pragmatic or practical. So the idea behind the journey of Lent is for Christians to practice the white martyrdom by practicing the 5 disciplines of abstinence. It doesn't mean total abstinence. It can be a modified or partial abstinence from food and from sex and from company, from noise. So you've got for instance, fasting from food. You've got the discipline of quietude, which is a fasting from noise, and practicing quiet. Solitude, practice of being alone. So you can see where some of these build into each other, being alone and in quiet, without food. Solitude also meant for those people that are always busy, always having to be around other people, always doing this and that, as an addiction to company, fasting from people. Not all the time, but during intentional and specific times for the purpose of giving more time to Christ. Well, fasting, solitude, quietude, frugality or simplicity, which is learning to live with just what was necessary and no more. Chastity. So the 5 disciplines of abstinence really all fit in with one another. The whole idea, though, the whole spirit behind those things is for self to decrease and one's esteem and love for Christ to increase. I think it was Job that said, "I have esteemed your word as more than my necessary food." And so increasing our hunger and our thirst for righteousness and of the kingdom of God, and to please the Lord over ourselves. These are the things that fade real easy in our lives if we do not bring some kind of intentional and self-imposed deprivation of the things we can become so habitual and addicted to in life. And so, off of the 12 days of Christmas and all the high celebrations of Advent, Christians are pretty much ready, or should be, for Lent, and to counter the glut that takes place when there's high and prolonged feast days. The balance of the disciplines of abstinence are the disciplines of engagement. Sometimes of which happens while practicing abstinence. For instance, the discipline of studying the scriptures, reading Christian literature, increasing one's theological thoughts, and so forth and so on, readily happen when you're practicing solitude and quietude and fasting. You're not supposed to just sit around and be hungry. The time that you would be cooking and eating and cleaning up and so forth is rather given to Christ. To study, worship, going to church, going to a Bible study, sharing with someone, being a help to your community, So you can see the disciplines of engagement complement the disciplines of abstinence. Many times those very disciplines of engagement are practiced during the times of abstinence, and abstinence is for the purpose of practicing them. Not all of them, but some of them. And I go into this in that first booklet. Discipline, the vow of green martyrdom first came about during the ministry of St. Patrick of Ireland, and it was similar to the vow of white martyrdom. The Irish felt guilty because Christianity relatively came to their island without red martyrdom, and they felt bad that other people suffered red martyrdom in bringing Christianity to their countries, and they never did. And so they never were really persecuted for their faith until Church of England came and persecuted them in their Catholic faith. Church of England came and really did a number on Catholic Christians in Ireland, but that's another story. So they came out with what's called the green martyrdom, where they chose to really dwell more in the wilderness and practice the vow of poverty, which was not so much you couldn't have anything as much as it was that you couldn't own anything, and that though you may have things, you could say, I don't own anything, I don't have anything. And as a result, one tribe may have one hammer and question why they need two. We got one hammer, that should be enough to share with everybody. And so green martyrdom was another way of living a frugal life, a simple life, which meant saying no a lot to yourself. And red martyrdom basically was made at your baptism. Sometimes they even oil you down as if they were training you for a wrestling match. Because during your baptism, you are making a vow to be faithful till the end, no matter what. Jesus himself said, he that is faithful till the end shall be saved. I could talk much about that right now, because on most of this planet, anyone who loves Jesus is getting killed, persecuted, wiped out. In Nigeria, they're just wiping us out. In Iran, wiping us out. Worst place is North Korea. They're just wiping us out. They're just killing us, torturing us, moving through us like a sieve. India. Most of the places of the world, it's a death sentence to name the name of Christ. And those people that are because it was a given when they accepted Christ that they were going to die for him. May God help them, and may God help us. The brand of Christianity we know in America isn't anywhere near real biblical Christianity, in the fact that we have so augmented our faith with so much crap, so many ridiculous ecclesiastical traditions that have nothing to do with following Jesus, have everything to do with an anti-biblical or non-biblical ideology of self-esteem, prosperity and wealth and so forth and so on. I'd like those guys to go preach that over in Nigeria. Don't get me started. Don't want to get started on that. Spirit of stupid comes on me if I do that. Nothing's wrong with my lighter. Which means what? So, The spirit of all of them, spirit of red martyrdom, green martyrdom, white martyrdom, really boils down to loving not our lives unto death for the sake of the gospel, for the sake of Christ. And that is normal Christianity today. It's what most people that know Jesus are experiencing. Not prosperity, poverty. Not health and wealth, death. So one of the things that we can do here is enter into a more solidarity with those brothers and sisters elsewhere who are suffering by depriving ourselves. Next week, and then the Sunday devotional for this booklet, this first booklet, deals with why we celebrate on Sunday. What's the tradition behind Christians celebrating on Sunday? Are the Seventh-day Adventists correct in assuming that Saturday is the Sabbath? Do Christians have a Sabbath? Is the Sabbath a day, or is the Sabbath a person? Has it been fulfilled? If Christians don't have a Sabbath day and Sunday's not the Sabbath day, why do we celebrate on Sunday? Could we celebrate any other day? Is it important that we celebrate on Sunday? And I go over that in that devotion that particular day. And what's fun about my booklets, is that they always end with a prayer taken usually from the Valley of Vision, which is a prayer book of early Puritan prayers. It's just excellent, man. And I mean, it breaks you down, because it doesn't give you any slack. It just assumes that we're sinning dogs and there's nothing good in us. It's all about God. I love that, because it's good Bible theology. See, real saints in real revivals, when people are really brought close to God and see God in the light of Christ clearly, they also have a proper estimation of themselves, and basically their estimation of Christ grows. Their estimation of self don't.